All right, so we're on the road to Kansas. I got to come home for about a week after Nebraska. Jeremy's been checking cameras and got some studs on camera, so just gonna be the fight with daylight like it always is early. But man, Jeremy's the boss when it comes to killing deer early out in Kansas. So pretty excited to get out there. But got about a 5-hour drive, and then we'll be settled in. We should be hunting tonight, hopefully. So gonna get on the road and hopefully get to see some deer die. So Kansas, man. Kansas, Jeremy Schmeiler. I've been there 5 years in a row. Always killed giant deer. You can't really go anywhere better in the country, I think. I think he's got some of the best free range hunting in the country. But we're back there. I love how Jeremy runs his stuff. He runs his stuff like I do in Missouri. Just a ton of intel, ton of trail cameras, pouring the feed to them, doing food plots, just everything done right and managing deer in the right way. And the deer that time of the year, the Milo, it turned red. And when the heads turned red, they just go straight to it. They don't care what you dump on the ground, it seemed like. So I told Jeremy, I said, man, I'm gonna get some big tine, because Jeremy had been feeding just straight protein and some corn. I said, I'm gonna get some big tine, and we're gonna start trying to sweeten it up a little bit and add it to it. Plus, big tine has Milo seeds in it. So I thought, if I can give him a better food source to go to than just red Milo, maybe he'll hit it first before hitting the Milo.
All right, so it's our first night here in Kansas. I was here last night and filmed Ty in a different spot, but didn't anything show up, so tonight's our first night hunting. Sitting in a shadow under over a feeder, just on the river. Been a couple of nice deer that have been coming in here, a big 8. I think there's like a 9 that's probably in the 30s, but he's like 5 years old. There's also like a half-red buck that's got a bunch of funky stuff going on one side. The other side's a 10-point side. And I believe there's even a buck named Bruce in here that is in velvet still. So about 4 or 5 shooters in this spot, but we got in here early. It's about 5:55 right now. We've got 3 does, is why I'm whispering. There's 3 does at the feeder already. Another 2 about 40 yards off, so looks promising so far, so we'll see what shows up.
So we roll into camp, and Jeremy has done his homework like he always does, and he's got a place on his farm that, there's been 2 or 3 different bucks using it. One shooter for sure, that's a big wide deer. He's like a 6x5 almost with a drop tine. He'd been his G2 over. We named him Blue Pill. He was pretty much public enemy #1. He was the one we wanted to get in front of. There was an old 8 using it, and then there was a really nice 10 in there that was using it, and a bunch of other deer too. But those were really the 3 kind of ones we wanted to get in there and look at, see if we could, kind of try to age them a little bit more and see which one we could get just in front of us. Man, the first night in the set just doesn't disappoint. So we give this deer the walk, and he puts on a great show for us, and gets in there and kind of moves around, pushes some other deer out, and then ends up getting out of there. And ultimately, Blue Pill was the only one that didn't show up that night, and we set it out though. Thought, man, we'd go back, show Jeremy the footage, see what he thinks, and then get a game plan together for the next day.
Full Draw Adventures is brought to you by Swap Broadheads, Drain Your Game. Shine Sense, works anywhere, anytime. Dead Center Archery Products, the best stabilization money can buy. True Ball and Excel Archery, others claim it, we prove it. Threads Custom Bowstrings, performance, reliability, success.
So in Kansas, feeding is legal, baiting is legal, whatever you want to call it, whatever term you want to use. It's something that Jeremy utilizes we utilize when we're out there quite a bit. It's, you know, a lot of people have this misconception that, you know, baiting, shooting deer in bait, shooting deer over corn, whatever the case may be, is easy. I can tell you that, you know, after hunting out there for years, that killing a mature deer over a feed pile is not an easy thing to do. And usually when we're hunting those, very rarely will we hunt right over the pile. In some instances we just have to with the way the trees are and where the deer bed. But for the most part, we're utilizing it almost like a food plot. And you're gonna utilize it to where you're gonna try to cut that deer off before he's going to that food source or when he's coming back from that food source. So out there, Jeremy does the same thing. It's really, you know, it's a surveillance point. It's something that we get to get pictures of deer in the early season and the late season. And it's a really good way to, you know, improve your herd health, but also keep inventory of what's there. And it can help you be successful in your hunt if you use it properly.
So, it's our second night here in Kansas. I filmed Ty, and this set was hung for Ty to hunt. There's a really big deer in here that is called Pickens that Ty's been after. And then there's another 10 in here that has his G2's broken off and it comes down like a drop. That's the one we're after. But Ty's set this the last 2 nights, hasn't seen either one of them. But we got in here pretty early. Got a little bit of a wind, got a little bit of noise, just keeping the thermals rising when we get in here. Perfect wind once we get in here, so we're gonna sit it out. I'm literally probably 8 feet off the ground, and we got a lot of cover around this stand, though. I think it'll work. Should have some deer come into the pile and kind of move around, but I don't know. We're gonna sit it out. It's about 80 degrees today, 85, but the wind keeps it cool, so hopefully we can catch one on his feet. We'll see.
Today's Sitka tip of the week is about broadheads and practice. A lot of broadhead companies offer a practice tip or a practice broadhead. That doesn't necessarily mean that that broadhead will 100% of the time hit in the same place as what you actually are shooting at the animal. Most broadhead companies offer replacement blades. You can also sharpen the blades. So there's no real excuse not to practice with what you hunt with.
Full Draw Adventures is brought to you by Ozonics, undetectable, undeniable. Sitka, turning clothing into gear. Black Eagle Arrows, precision carbon arrows. Quiet Cat, the most advanced hunting and outdoor recreation e-bike in the world.
Okay, so we were gonna sit tonight out and not hunt because the buck we've been hunting, we can't hunt him tonight. Jeremy got a lot of options, but really want to spend some time on him. We just like spiced the place up with Big Tine, and
really want to see what that does. So we were going to leave him tonight. We weren't going to hunt, but Jeremy called me, said, hey, I've got another spot about 10 miles away. Just put a camera on it a couple days ago. Haven't been in there at all. Want to go try it. So we're going to go try it. Don't know what's going to show up. Don't know if anything's going to show up.
You know, we get to the set early, super early, and it's really windy. I mean, we're talking 30-mile-an-hour winds, and really we hadn't seen much. We had some deer behind us kind of move in through the Milo that we had videoed, and we're sitting there, and all of a sudden I noticed that there's movement to our left, and I look down the river, and there the blue-pill buck stands. He's probably only 80 yards, but he's standing like a statue, just literally locked on to the old set that we'd been hunting all week. And he's just staring and staring and staring. Now, mind you, with this wind that we have, this wind direction, he has the wind on that set. And that's what I honestly believe that, you know, he knew that set was there and he wasn't gonna come into that site without getting the wind on that set before he came in. And he sat there and we filmed him and he didn't move. He just stood there and watched it and looked at it. And finally he starts to kind of feel comfortable and starts kind of working towards us and gets in there, and there's like 3 cottonwoods in front of us. And I wait for him to get behind one of them before I draw, and he does, and I draw. Well, he stops behind the second one and doesn't come out.
So I let him go through that hole, thinking he would come out this other end, but he stopped it behind these trees to me. I couldn't do anything, so I held my bow forever. I went to let it up and hit my elbow. It jumped on me. Of course he heard it, so I redraw again. As he goes back through that hole, tried to put it on him. I think I shot over him. Craziness. You spend the whole week on that deer, he never shows up. He finally shows up in the daylight, and then some craziness happens like that.
Full Draw Adventures is brought to you by Martin Archery, designed and engineered to offer the best archery experience available. Whether your game is target or hunting, Martin is at the head of the pack.
You know, the season I've had has been tough. I've had a lot of close calls that I just haven't capitalized on. And that compounded with the fact that we spent 8 days on this one deer and finally got the opportunity in the daylight and I messed it up was unexplainable. I mean, you talk about the lowest of lows. I felt horrible. I think the only way I could have felt worse is if I would have wounded him. we go out the next day, feed some spots, check some feeders, and I'm at the point to where I'm like, okay, I've really got 2 more days to hunt, and then I got to get back home. And at that point I was done. I was like, I don't know, really what I can do. And Jeremy's like, man, just go back in and hunt him. Like, well, I've seen him do dumber stuff. He may show up tonight. You never know. But if not, that old 8's in there and you can kill him. He needs to go out of there anyway. So I'm like, okay, cool.
All right, so we're back in where we sat last night. Had that encounter with that buck. Watched the video 100 times, but I don't know how buggered he's gonna be. I'm sure he'll probably won't be killable for a couple days at least, but we're gonna set it out. We got some other mature deer there using this pile. See what shows up tonight. It's another great night. 50 degrees, overcast, north wind. So we'll set over the big tide and see what it can bring out, and make a decision on what we're gonna do. If we're gonna hold out or if we're gonna thump something. We'll see.
So we're sitting there, and it was a slow night for that spot. I mean, we had probably 6 or 8 deer behind us, a young buck come around behind us, and really nothing had worked the river going to that food at all. And so we're sitting there, and it's getting about that time, and every night that it got closer to dark, about sunset, I would stand up, and for the last 30 minutes of the hunt, I'd just stand up in the stand the whole time. And I'm standing there, and a doe comes out to our right. And the way this new set was that we put is you could see directly in front of you, but you couldn't see anything to the right at all that was working the river. And this doe, I mean, when they came out, they're at 20 yards and they're there. Well, this doe comes out, and she comes down, and she starts kind of working in front of us. And I tell Josh, I'm like, right here, right here, right here. And he turns and gets the camera, and he's trying to find her. And all of a sudden, I look up, and the blue pill buck's directly behind her.
We just crushed him.
No way.
Get it back. He's like, what? If you would have talked to me 5 seconds ago, I would have told you, like, I was so mad. And I was so upset with myself after last night. And he freaking strolled in perfect. What? How can you not love this? Like, it's the freaking worst lows and the freaking highest highs you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, come back here and let Blake walk up there. Yeah!
I just jumped.
Dude, he's got a hole through the top of it. Look at that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Balake.
Oh,
Congrats, buddy.
yeah, man. God. It was one of the craziest things. Let's get him pulled up here.
All right, so we got this guy recovered. Man, what a crazy, crazy hunt. This deer, I thought I botched it on him last night. Came in, we've been hunting him for 8 days. He showed up on us last night, first time he daylighted in 8 days. And things got crazy, and I thought I had a hole, and I tried him and hit a limb and went over his back, and I thought I'd never see him again. And Jeremy said, man, you need to go back in there. He said he may show back up. He may not, but he may. And so we went back in tonight, day after we missed him. And I'll be darned if he didn't come in from the right direction this time, and had no clue. It happened fast. I think it all happened in about 10 seconds. I didn't even say anything to Josh. I just grabbed the bow, and he saw me get my release out of my cuff, and he was like, oh, and looked up, and there he was, and ended up getting him. Took him, he was kind of quartering to. The SWAT broadhead went all the way through that front shoulder and all the way out the back.
Piled him up. He made it about 150 yards, 175 yards. He made it across the river and then out into the middle of this field. Just super excited, man. Words can't describe the feeling right now. And get ready to go back home and do some more hunting and hopefully get in front of another one.